Hey. Hopefully you can see me. Ty here. I wanted to, well, really, I'm about to get this morning started. Okay. Had to drop off the kids this morning, get them to school, make sure everybody was all right, make sure the wife got off okay. And then I got here to the office. I'm going to kind of get things started around here, take a minute a little bit later, go get me something to eat and come back. But something was on my mind when I was driving. And I imagine that people go through this on different levels. So I worked in corporate America. So when I say corporate America with this, I worked in retail. I was in retail leadership, leadership positions where, I was over a bunch of different departments, and a lot of people. At one point, I would say the max was about 1,500. Indirectly, I would say probably about 50, up to about 50 managers, assistant managers, and then, everybody else below them, of course. And so, in my career, I was very good at the things that I did. I was kind of a workaholic. Not because I couldn't get things done in the 8 or 10 hours that I would work. Actually, it was just the opposite. In my 10-hour day, I could generally get most of my work done in half that time. So I would push to other things, other projects, strategizing, conferencing with others, figuring ways to progress the business, to boost different areas of the business. Productivity is something that's huge. One of the areas that I spent, I would say probably the most time, and this is the area where I'm most passionate about, and even here in my current business, it's something that I'm passionate about. It's developing others. So, I would say I invested more in the development of others than I did in any other aspect of the business. The reality for me is, no matter how good I am or was, I can only do so much and I can only go so far. When you have a team, if you could develop that team to where the leadership had, if you can develop that team to be as good or greater than you, because they bring different talents to the table, they bring different ideas, creativity, they may have a certain level of productivity in various areas. They may match your productivity. Their execution may be great. They may be good at building relationships. Hopefully you're good at building relationships. That was one of the things that I was really good at. Here's what was on my mind though, right? Life has this way of taking you up and down and up and down. And although I own a business, one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that I generally have always had a business or something else going on outside of having a job. So I worked in the private sector. At the same time, I owned a business in the private sector. Not this one. I had another one, and then, I actually did have this one, but I had another one, and this one eventually just kind of grew, and then we're in the facility now at this point and things like that. But so I went away from working in retail, right? I was working in a retail position where it was pretty significant position, but I went away from it. I went away because medically, I was killing myself. I was literally killing myself. I was killing myself working so hard. There were days where I recall literally working 23-hour days, and I would. So you might be like, how the hell can you do that? You get up in the morning. I would get up in the morning, 3:00. Actually, probably 2:30, 3:00. Shower. I wouldn't even eat. I would shower, load everything up in the truck, roll out. 2 hour drive to my first location. 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 2 hour drive I would not come home until, I would say, maybe 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, okay, because my market was so huge. So then by the time I got in bed, the phone rings, bomb threat, something crazy, okay. So where I worked in retail, very different than, it's not, I didn't work in with your cashiers and stuff like that, I was over them, but I didn't necessarily work with those people. So when you think of retail, there are so many different levels to retail. So I would have something like that happen, and I got to get up and turn around, and I'm back on the road, right? And sometimes I could check into a hotel, sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes I had to come back home because my day was starting on a different area, so it didn't benefit me to be down there. Sometimes there was an emergency where I had to go, and I didn't have time to pack clothes or anything. I just had to just jump in the car and grab my backpack or whatever I was using at that time, and my iPad and laptop, and take off. So there were a lot of times where, heck, I get home, I get 30 minutes to shower and hit the sack, and I got to get up and go. But it was killing me over time doing that. It took its toll. So I jumped out of the workforce. And mind you, I still have my business going on. And the way I kind of have my business set up, it was really like leisure. I could work when I wanted to work, take on as many clients as I wanted to take on, do whatever it was that I wanted to do. But I set it up. So it was really wonderful. The business wasn't running me, I was running the business. Okay. Fast forward. I've walked away from retail. There's a period that goes by where I build my business, the current one that I'm in now, because it was my baby, it's my business, so I have to build it. No one could do that for me. It's growing. Take on the facility, increase the number of clients, take on different contracts, things like that. Now, cool. Still my leisure, still my time. I train when I want to. I do things when I want to do it. So I'm still at a place where I can work a job. Now, mind you, I told you earlier that developing others was something that was huge. Now, I work with people who they should have been fired. I remember at one point taking over a market where my boss walked me in, and she said, all of them need to be gone by the end of the month. And so, of course, respectfully, I pushed back. I was known for doing that. I didn't just go with the flow because somebody told me to do something. I'm not just gonna take food off of somebody's plate because you don't like them or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, I'm taking over a market. The reason I'm taking over a market is because the leader that was there before was apparently not the best leader. So let's see what that leader instilled in these people. Let's see, did they actually lead them? Did they develop them? Did they work with them? Or were they the type of leader who came in, thought of only themselves, and for you, it's sink or swim? So, I let her know, hey, I'll be the judge of that. Let me spend some time with them. Let me see, who has the potential to grow, who has the potential to be here, be successful, and either way it goes, I'm going to develop a high performing team because that's what I do. So of course she was okay with that because I had done it in the past. And, of course, I ended up saving some of them. I think only one of them went away, who refused to change, who've had a very difficult time adjusting. I would say some of those people who did make it, I would say it was very hard for them, because when I push and when I drive hard. So, and we needed to change, and business happens yesterday. It's not today. Today we're working on tomorrow, right? So, we've got to stay moving. We've got to stay moving. Okay. So anyway, fast forward. I've developed all these people. I've mentored all these people. I've helped all these people grow. I've helped peers. I've mentored peers, and peers are now growing. And I've had peers who were on the chopping block where, I asked if I could take them on as a mentor because I saw something that our leaders, people over me, didn't see. So I took on peers and helped to mentor them and develop them and things like that. And, there's certain ways that's just been my thing. I'm very good at developing people and helping to bring their potential out. So now I'm out of retail. I've been out for a while. One of the things that you do is you network, right? You network. Now it's time for me, to get back in. The health issues, I've worked through them. And now it's time for me to get back out there and get in. So for the thousand, however many people that I helped, right? And we're talking some high numbers because I mentored people across the nation. So although I'm in California, I had people that I was mentoring who were in Chicago, who were in Alabama, who were in Florida, who were in Jacksonville, who were in New Jersey, in Texas, people who were in Minnesota, in Maine, Massachusetts, in Oregon, in Washington, in Nevada. I mean, I had people everywhere that I was mentoring, and I would mentor them. We would video conference. We'd be over the phone, through email, through text. I would help them to navigate their career, to help them to promote things like that. Here's what I want to tell you. This is a life lesson that I learned, and this is what was on my mind earlier. When it came time for all these people who were down, some of them about to lose their jobs, everything, all of these people that I helped, when the time came for me to jump back in, not a single one of them did anything to help. Not a single one of them. Some of them didn't even acknowledge my hand reaching out for their help. None of them. So it kind of caught me by surprise. It did. It really caught me by surprise. It became frustrating. For a short period, I became bitter. So I had to adjust because me becoming bitter is not helping anyone, but not hurting anyone but me. So then I went into meditation. I'd get up early, spend my time in meditation so that I can defrag my own thoughts and emotions and try to figure things out. Here's what I'll tell you, right? And I know this is long. I could have stayed frustrated and I could have became very, very angry. And I could have, it could have escalated to where, I'm coming after these people because I've helped you. I've done all this, that, or the other. I've helped to put food on your plate. You know what I mean? You've gone from a hourly salary to this 6-figure salary. You've gone from this to that and whatever the case may be because of everything that I've done for you. And I will tell you that, did it hurt? Absolutely. I'm human. It hurt. All right. It shocked me. It blew me away. There were even people who, this is crazy. I had a guy this guy did me dirty, right? I did him justice. All 4 corners, I helped this guy out in his development. I saved this guy from being termed. There were times when this guy got in trouble and I came in and I cleaned everything up and it went away. There were all kinds of stuff where I helped this guy. Check this out. On the job, this guy threw me under the bus on something that he did one time. Okay? And it actually hurt me with our leaders. So I had to go back and clean up that mess. It took me a long time because it was like a blatant lie. And it was terrible because everything he lied about was on camera. It was all on camera. Okay? And he didn't even realize that. Everything that he lied about was on camera. Right? But the leaders, in leadership, they fly in, come in, do whatever, fly out. I wasn't there. I found out later. This same guy. So I leave that company. I go to another company, take over a bigger position, bigger market, bigger pay, bigger everything, right? This same guy who I helped, who did me dirty before I left, right? Now, I left on my own. I didn't get fired or anything. I left with good reputation. I did a real, I was pretty good there. Okay. This guy later came to me for help on a job. Now I'm at this big company. Now he wants to get into that company. Okay. The same guy. So part of me said, I should just say, screw you. Hang up. Right? I didn't, though. Because I could have stayed angry at him because of what he did. Right? Did it piss me off at the time? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really, dude? That's what you do? Really? Because you don't know what to say, that's what comes out of your mouth? It was crazy. So I could have remained pissed off and whatever, but I didn't. Instead, I told him about the company. I told him what the company had to offer. I told him what he could expect from the company. This, that, or the other. I let him know who he would want to reach out to. Whatever. I did it because at the end of the day, I know that there are a lot of people out there who look for opportunities, and sometimes those opportunities are not presented. And there are people that you might know who are in a position where they can actually move the needle a little bit. And that little bit gives you is the crack in the door that you need to kick in. Okay? And sometimes that's all it takes. I could have been angry. I could have been really angry. Right? So mind you, again, fast forward, I leave. I'm not working. I'm out of the workforce, whatever the case may be. Okay. Now, mind you, I've given this guy some opportunity, created the window. I've bridged the contacts, everything. I'm ready to jump back in. I call this guy. This guy says to me, "Man, I wish I could help you. I don't know. I don't know how I could help you. I don't know anything, whatever." Because he's now at a different company. Okay. He didn't take the opportunity, or maybe he did go through the opportunity there. And once you're in the interview, I can't help you unless I'm interviewing you, right? I can go back and I can talk to these folks or whatever the case may be, but I don't know if he interviewed or not. He never told me. So, maybe had he told me he was going to interviews or whatever, I could have reached out, but I didn't because I didn't know. So, when the time came and he's at another company where at the company he's at, I knew some other people there, but the people that I knew there, they were people who basically went from that company to that company. So I knew who they were at that company. Now I know who you are. I know who you were at that company. I know your personality. I know your character. I know where your integrity stands. So when you go to this company, I know who you are when you go to that company. And some of those people, I talked to them when they were at that company. Because in passing, I happened to be walking out of a store or something, and they're walking in, and hey, Ty, let's talk and whatever, we have a conversation. And in that conversation, they show me that not only are you still that person, you're worse. So, I will still steer clear from those people, at least up until I'm in. But he didn't help. People who I know, people who worked for me, who should have been fired, where I developed them to take on higher positions and things like that. Same thing. Now, in my mind at those times, they're garbage to me, right? Because any relationship that we had when I looked out for you, right? There were people who, I want you to understand, there were people who financially, they're about to be kicked out of their house, their kids are about to be on the street, they're about to be on the street where, okay, I came out of pocket and cut the check. We're going to fix this right away. No, nothing, right? Nothing. People who, drug addicts, nope, we're going to change that. Disowned by family, nope, we're going to fix that, right? We're going to fix that, okay? We're going to get you back in your family. We're going to get you in a program or whatever the case may be. You don't have a support system? I'm going to be your support system. Whatever it is, we're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do that. Depression? Nope, we're going to work you out of this depression. Let's go. We're going to hit the gym. We're going to do whatever. We're going to create a family, create a team. Everybody's going to be firing on all cylinders. Oh, they're saying this, they're saying that. Don't worry. I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to make sure that you have every opportunity that is out there available to you. As a leader, for me, having had leaders who do the iron fist, leaders who leave you out to hang, leaders who are cutthroat, leaders who they feel a threat, they feel threatened by you. So then they come after you, or they find ways to try to come after you. I've experienced so many different types of leaders, right? I've even experienced the leader that goes out and gives you everything as part of development, but then you later find out that there was something behind the scenes. For instance, they wanted to try to get into your pants, so they were doing everything to get you on the level, doing everything they can to get you on the level. And then when that doesn't work out for them, they see that you're not going their route, they go to somebody else, and now they kind of turn their back on you. You know what I mean? But how are you to know that at the time? Like, I went through that. How was I to know that person was trying to, eventually I found out that was kind of what they were after. You know what I mean? Which, hey, I wasn't interested in you that way. You know what I mean? Nah, forget all that. So anyway, all of those people, none of those people helped me when I reached out. So I'm going to cut this because it's long. Here's what I want to tell you. For every company that said no, you're overqualified. We unfortunately, we're at our ceiling with the position. We can't pay you this. There's some concerns with, you've got so much leadership experience, this position, that might be too much for this position. Maybe you should apply for that position when it becomes open. Whatever. I had all kinds of different, responses. The list goes on. I can show you some crazy responses for ones that I applied to, companies that I've interviewed with. I had a vice president. I had a company refuse, the company that didn't give me feedback. I didn't get feedback after going through I went through 9 interviews, either 6 or 9 interviews with them, right? My last interview was a phone interview with the vice president. Okay. He was like the divisional vice president or something. Our interview was scheduled for Thursday at 5 p.m. All right. He calls me. Actually, it was scheduled for Thursday at 9 a.m. He calls me on Wednesday at about 5:30 p.m. He gets out of a meeting. He leaves the meeting, goes back to the hotel, whatever. I don't know. Maybe he's having some beers at the bar. I don't know what he does. He decides to. He just randomly calls me. I'm literally putting dinner on the table for my children, and he calls me. And he's like, "Hey, this is so and so. I'm calling. We're scheduled to have an interview. I just calling to catch up with you, see if maybe we can sit down. Maybe we can go ahead and have a short conversation, whatever the case may be. You got 15 to 30 minutes." I said, "Well, I appreciate you calling. Thank you. I'm actually putting dinner on the table for my kids right now. I know we were scheduled for tomorrow at 9. Oh yeah, I know, but I was just grabbed my phone and just figured, hey, let me give you a call and let's talk." I said, "You know what? I appreciate you calling me. I appreciate that you were even thinking of me now, and I'm sure you had all kinds of things going on today. So if you're willing to do that, I will take the time, step aside, and definitely have this conversation with you." 15 minutes we're on the phone. After, he tells me, "Hey, great conversation. I'm going to go ahead and shoot down let HR know, my feedback, and they'll give you a call to let you know what the next steps are, in the process." Great. All right, cool. Now, I've worked for this company before. I worked for this company years and years ago. So this guy he didn't remember me because he was kind of younger at the time, and he worked in a different market. But I knew who he was because we were actually always competing on stats. In terms of our numbers, all right, and this is a fitness company, believe it or not. So I don't get feedback from them for like 6 weeks, and I'm calling trying to get feedback, but nobody's returning my calls. Finally, a person returns my call who is a friend of a friend, and she was actually the first person that I interviewed with, and she and I talked for about an hour. It was a great interview. I mean, it was awesome on the phone. Every interview after that, up to the vice president interview, well, except with the exception of one with one guy. He's like, one guy, he told me every person who comes from that particular company, which is the company I was coming from, every person who comes over here from that company, they all fail. All of HR said he's lying. Every person who has come from that company, they've all excelled. They've all succeeded. Most of them are already in corporate. They've all promoted. Those are generally the people who, he's like, they're like every person who comes from that company excels, right? But it could have been that, again, he was a guy who now he's in that position and he actually remembered me, okay? And I was one of those guys who were always, when you looked at the reports, I was always at the top. And he was one of those guys who was always trying to fight to get up there. So I realized he remembered me because, I actually walked some of the facilities and talked to some of the other leaders, and they remembered me. So the feedback that came back from the vice president was how he told HR, how am I going to lead this guy? How am I going to manage this guy? With his knowledge and his background, if I roll out a decision, or if I give him some instruction, or how am I going to manage him? If he goes against what I say, or he doesn't believe in what I say, how am I going to manage this guy? How am I going to get this guy to buy into whatever it is that I'm trying to roll out with the team, or things that I think that we should do, or direction I think we should go? He's like, with his experience, with his knowledge, with his background, he's like, there's no way I can lead this guy. So no one in all those interviews, none of them, okay, with the exception of my very first interview, and that's only because she's in a different market, so she didn't know what was going on in this market, right? She's in a different market. So once it left her, it went over there. She just happened to call me to say, hey, has anyone given you feedback? Have they called? Where are you at in the process? What's going on? Have you already started? She was just calling to follow up, and then she found out that I told her, hey, I hadn't heard from anyone. It's been like 5 weeks. So then she's like, give me some time. Let me go find out what's going on. And she called me back saying, I am so sorry. I am embarrassed. I apologize. I cannot believe this. She's like, you know what? I'm going to be straight out. I'm going to be straight out with you. All right. After the conversation that you had with the vice president, the guy was intimidated. He literally told staff that he was intimidated. He told his staff that he was intimidated on the phone. He felt like you, in essence, talked above him, like you had more knowledge, you had more experience. Now, this guy's been with that company 15. At that time, he had been with the company 15 years. That was the first company that he worked for. So he worked from that position he started all the way up there. Okay, I was there during that time. I actually was there longer than him when he came on board. So I remembered him. I was there longer than him when he came on board. Okay. The difference is I jumped out of that company into other companies who invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into my development. So then when I came back, I could look at their reports. Like the first day I walked into a facility and we opened up the system, I broke down their whole entire, the diagnostics of their whole entire business. It blew them away because there were areas that they didn't look at, that they didn't even think to look at. And I'm showing them, in this area, here's why you're suffering in this area. And I'm helping them to connect the dots to see why these different areas are not making money. Here's what you need to be doing. You're focused here. You're wasting time and spinning your wheels. You need to be focused here. If you focus here, then you're going to see this go up. If you focus here, you're going to see this go up. Here's what you need to do, and here's why. Here's how we simplify it. I could have been angry and upset because nobody helped me. I could have remained angry. I'm human, so I was bitter for a minute. I was pissed off a little bit, but I got over it, right? I got over it really, really quick. It didn't sit for a while. Like I said, I sat down and I meditated. I could have held on to that, but I decided not to. Because that company was not worthy of my talent. That company was not worthy of having me on the team. Those people who I helped, even though I had helped them get to a certain point, they still in some way felt inferior to me. And I hate to say that. I hate to even think that way because I never developed them to think that way. I never trained them to think that way. Never. Never. I would never want them to feel that. If I knew that early on, I would have got rid of them. I don't want those type of people around me. Right? I don't want those type of people around me. I don't want to walk around like, hey, I'm bigger than everybody. No, heck no. If we go to war to fight, bro, I need you to be on my shoulder. I need you to be shoulder to shoulder. Even if you got my back, you still need to be shoulder to shoulder with me. Put your back against mine. Put your backs against my shoulders on the side, right? We taking fades for all angles. Let's get it. Everybody that steps up. The companies that they worked for missed out on an opportunity because that person was intimidated. I realized I am bigger and better than anything that they could offer me. I am more powerful. I am stronger. I am more intelligent. I have more potential. My potential is outrageous. But it's my responsibility to capture everything that I can to help me bring that potential out. It is my responsibility and no one else's. So I can't rely on other people to help me. I can't rely on other people to help me. I've always, if you look at my resume, I've always been in leadership positions. I've always been in a position of leadership or entrepreneurship. I always have. But then I'm asking worker bees, even though I've developed them to be leaders, right? They've not fully embodied it yet. And the reason I know that is because when I, who was your leader, come back to you, it is uncomfortable for you. But see, when you wear the leadership hat, when you sit on this table, when you sit at the table with leaders, you are a leader and you be a leader. That means you have to be courageous. You have to communicate effectively. You have to stand tall. You hold your nose up. You hold your head up high. You project your voice. You be heard. You command attention and you demand respect. It's only when people feel less than what their potential truly is, and they buy into that, that the feeling of inferiority begins to take hold and it begins to grow and fester inside of a person. They won't even realize it. And they're losing out. So because you choose to lose out, I refuse to lose out. I am bigger. I am better. I am more powerful. I am more talented. I am more gifted than anything any of those companies or any of those individuals could offer me. See, I could have been angry and I could have been bitter. It may sound that way right now, but I'm not. Because I have so much going on. I set a goal for myself. Right? I set a goal for myself. I have my own business. I want to transform my business into $1 million business. Okay? And then I want to move that from there to, by the time I turn 47, it being a $10 million business or more. That's not just doing this one thing. That's doing several different things. I want to bring people along with me and develop those people, but I want the right people. I don't want just anybody. Because just anybody can destroy your dream if you let them. So we got to pick and choose who we put in our circles. I don't care if people don't see things the way I see things. I don't care if people don't want to... those people who want me to conform for their feelings, right? I worked for a company where feelings were everything. You know, you got to make people feel real good and soft and gentle and cushy. I don't care about that. It doesn't mean I'm going to be brass. It doesn't mean I'm going to be abrasive. It doesn't mean that. Not at all. I mean, man, no. You don't really get anywhere with that. But it means I am going to put everything on the table. And while everything is on the table, everything is fair game. There is no way out. There is one way to go, and that way is up. Forward. Grow. Expand. Here's what I'll say. Never let other people bring you down. Never let other people determine your dream. Never let other people tell you that what you can or cannot do. Okay? Think about them. I don't know if you've ever experienced this when you were in school and you had to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. What the hell was that? Do you realize, you know what? I, on my own, got out of that when I was in middle school. They say middle school now, junior high school. I realized I got somebody in here telling me that when I can and cannot go to the bathroom. So if they tell me I can't, they're telling me I would have to sit in that chair and piss on myself. Really? Or soil myself. Really? No. I learned as a kid. Heck no. I'm getting up and I'm walking out of here. You want to write me a detention or you want to write me a slip or send me to the principal's office, you go ahead. But I'd be damned if I'm going to let somebody else force me to sit here and soil myself. It was crazy. I learned that as a kid. Never let anyone else determine your worth. You determine your worth. I had a guy once tell me, Ty, why would someone choose your portfolio over someone else's portfolio? You have to build your portfolio. You've got to build your portfolio by putting things in there that make you look more attractive than someone else. It's no different with my company. At the same time, though, the people that you want looking at your portfolio, you want them to be quality people who are looking for this type of portfolio. They want that really expansive, nice, diverse portfolio with all the potential in it. But it comes with this wealth of whatever it is that they're looking for, whether it's talent, whether it's skill, whether it's experience, whether it's a background of diverse experiences with other cultures, creativity, whatever it is. You determine that and no one else determines that. See, I made that decision because I relied on people. Because I thought these people had my back. And I realized they don't have my back. Some people who call you their friend, they're not your friend. Right? Family will hurt you, friends will hurt you. They will hurt you just as much as people who don't know you from a can of beans. Get out there, make it happen. Don't wait for it to happen. Be a mover and a shaker. Build your mountains on a solid foundation, but start with the foundation. Plan for the future, but start building the foundation. And I'll say it again, never let anybody determine your worth. Never let anybody get you down. Don't focus on lack, right? Focus on value. Focus on the things that you want out of life. Set it up in your mind. Set it in your mind. I'm telling you, the universe will give it to you. Set it in your mind. Okay? If you're an athlete, envision what you're going to do. If you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, see it. See it the way you want it to be. Put it in your head, right? Start with the foundation. See it and build up on it and continue to build up on it. You always have to see it. You always have to see that huge bank account. If that's what you want, see that huge bank account. If traveling the world is what you want, see that. I want to travel this whole world. You got to see yourself on that plane. You got to see yourself in that nice hotel or wherever it is that you're staying. Learning these different cultures. See yourself doing the things that for some reason, some time ago, or maybe yesterday, or maybe 10 minutes ago, or maybe an hour ago, you didn't even believe that it would ever happen. Okay? Every moment, you can change your thoughts. You can. When you're sulking, when things are not going right, when it's just a bad day and things just keep going bad and getting worse, you got to keep in mind it's because you're focusing on it. You may not even realize you're focusing on it, but you are. People hurt you. Let them go. Let them go. Walk away from them. Because you're better than that. You're more powerful than that. All these insane people out here. It's so much negativity in the world. People want to see you. They want to see you destroyed. They want you to self-destruct. Are you kidding me? They'll give you the dynamite. They'll set it up under your chair and tell you to light a match. They'll put gasoline in your car. Clean your carpet with gasoline. Tell you to light a candle. Some crazy, dumb stuff. See it. I want for you to have the best quality of life possible. I want for you to have the best quality of life possible. I want for you to have everything that you ever imagined. I want you to have the relationship that you want. I want you to be happy. People say it's hard to be happy in this world of pain. Bullshit. I want you to be happy. If you got people around you who don't make you happy, get rid of them. Get them out of your life. In business for a while, I just felt lonely, I felt really, really lonely. Well, my buddy, he told me, he's like, Ty, that's how it is. He's like, that's how it is. He's like, you're gonna have that a lot of times. But you've got to learn how to maneuver through that. You've got to learn how to deal with that. Because when the bank comes, they come to you. They're not coming to all those other people that you're looking for as a support system. Is it good to have a support system? Absolutely. But you got to keep in mind, when it's time to pay those bills, they're not going to your support system. They're going to you. Right? When sales are down, they're going to you. So even in that, it does not kill me. I can still go home, go to bed, wake up, have breakfast, drink a cup of coffee if I want to, have a chai tea, drink some green tea, one of those, exercise, go for a run, go cycling, jump in the pool, take my kids to school, give them a kiss, tell them I love them. They tell me they love me, give me a big hug and a kiss. See my wife off, give her a kiss. She gives me a kiss. I can smile. I can come in this office. I can interact with you. There has to be some pain. There has to be a struggle. There has to be some failures. There has to be some disappointments. There has to be some resentment coming from somewhere. If there is no challenge of adversity, you will not grow. Period. Embrace the adversity to become the advanced. Embrace the adversity to become the advanced. But what do you mean by advanced? What are you doing in life? Are you on the same level as your peers, or do you need to advance past your peers? Embrace the adversity to advance. Embrace it. Hey, I'm Ty Pinkney. I think I'm going to come back tomorrow because I got a lot on my mind. I got a lot on my heart. I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. I got to shoot these training videos right now. I haven't eaten breakfast. I had a lot on my heart this morning, and I wanted to share it with you. I love you. Have an incredible day. If I am not back tomorrow, I think I will be, like I said, but if I'm not back tomorrow, then I will be the next day. Okay? So I hope you see this video. I'm sorry that it's so long. I know that we are pushed for time, and speed is life. Listen, today is your day. Today is about you. Embrace the adversity to advance. Let's get this. Talk to you soon. Peace.